I'm Jill Foster, and welcome to your next PB&J card class. Today I'll be creating a card using two brand new stamp sets which are debuting today on the Penny Black blog. Here's a look at those two sets. And this is the card we'll be creating today. I love that the set we're using is great for Mother's Day, but it can also be used throughout the year, and the sentiments are nice for many different cards. So to begin, I'm taking the silhouette stamp from the set, and I have a piece of cardstock I've die cut with Spellbinders die. I've rubbed it with an anti-static bag, and now I'm inking my stamp using Versamark ink. I'm going to be doing some embossing. I'll stamp this directly onto the oval. And then I'll sprinkle this with white embossing powder. I'll tap off the excess and then apply heat to set. Now that that is set, I'm going to use Scattered Straw Distress ink, and I'm going to ink the oval. And the main reason I'm doing this to begin with is I want to do some coloring of this image on the parts that are not solid. And it was really difficult to tell where I had stamped and where I hadn't because it was all white. So I'm using a light color like Scattered Straw. Distress ink, Antique Linen would also work well, so I can see those areas that I want to color. Now to color this in, I'm using Pitt Artist pens. And these are an India ink, which if I get this on the embossing, I can quickly rub it off and it won't stain the embossed areas. They also work well because they have a fine tip and can get into these details of this stamp. So I started with the lightest color, and then I'm just feathering on the darker color. So I did a yellow and now an orange. And I'll go back and blend that using the yellow that I began with. And I'll continue to color. Now I'm just adding some purple, and that was pretty dark in a real small area, so I'm not going to do much for shading. Then on the ribbons here, I'm starting with the red, which would be my darkest color. Then I'm going to take orange, and I'm sort of overlapping partway into the red so the color blends from light to dark. And then on the very tip, I'm doing the same thing with yellow. And I'll just continue to color that image and the umbrella in the open areas. Now that that's done, I'm going to take tea dye ink, and I want to darken this up just a little bit, and I want it closest to the body on the stamp. So I'm sort of turning my inking tool on its side and just distressing right up to the body, trying not to get too much on those areas that I've colored. And I'll go back and blend that a little bit more with Scattered Straw, and that will also sort of darken up that background. Now because we emboss this, I can take a baby wipe and just wipe off the excess so that that's a nice crisp white image. Now to add a little background stamping, I'm inking Penny Black letter background with Smoky Gray VersaFine ink. I love this color for a real subtle background. Then I'm going to dab off some of the excess ink using a baby wipe. And I'll just stamp that right over the top. And then again, I can wipe off any extra ink real quickly off of the embossed areas. I'm going to use that same Smoky Gray VersaFine ink to ink the edges of the piece. I'll be layering this on top of a stamped background, so inking the edges really helps define that edge and keep it from getting too busy. Now this piece was die cut using a Sizzix Alterations die, and now I'm taking this clear stamp from our new set Puzzle Parts, and I'm inking this with Versamagic ink in the color of Eggplant. I wanted a real soft background, so I'm going to stamp this onto Mix and Match cardstock. And what I love about these Puzzle Parts, the stamp set, is you can create an entire background because they're designed to fit together. So I'm just deciding here exactly where I want that, and I'll press it down. And this particular stamp from the set really gives the look of that chevron style that is so popular right now. So you can see it's very easy to just line that up and create whatever type of background you would like. And I'm just working my way down the card. I don't need to stamp the whole thing because I'm going to cover up the bottom a little bit, so I will stop when I get near the bottom. And then I also wanted to add just a little tip right up there at the top to finish it out. Now this is just the bottom portion of that same die cut. I want to keep it a nice crisp white to go with the white embossing on the main panel, the oval. So I'm just inking this with that smoky gray VersaFine ink. And then I will glue that on. And I decided I wanted to ink the edges here, so I'm taking that VersaMagic ink and rubbing that right across. And then I actually did go back and add a little Seedless Preserves Distress ink. So here's a look at that finished card. I've just embellished that with a sentiment from the same set with the silhouette, some butterflies, and some ribbon. Thanks so much for watching. For details and more information, visit the Penny Black website at www.pennyblackink.com. Be sure to watch over the next 2 weeks for reveals of new stamps. And here's a look at the supplies used on today's card.